What's going on, guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital. We're here with Ryan Selby, founder and CEO at Poda Technologies. How are you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
Doing great. Excited to have you on the channel. So, Poda Technologies is a technology company focused on the development and commercialization of innovative heat-not-burn smoking products that have lower health risks compared to traditional combustible tobacco products. What else do you want investors to understand about Poda?
Yeah, so we've spent the last 6 years developing what I believe is the best heat not burn product ever made. Now, many people may have never heard the term heat not burn or may not be familiar with exactly what it is. Essentially, what heat not burn means is it's a way of consuming tobacco and other substances without actually combusting them. And the reason we want to avoid combustion is that many of the harmful toxicants found in traditional cigarette smoke are produced as a direct result of the combustion of the tobacco material. And so by eliminating the combustion, we can dramatically potentially reduce the harmful toxicants found in the vapor produced by our product. And what that allows us to do is to potentially deliver a much safer cigarette. Now, heating tobacco versus combusting it allows us to still extract the nicotine and other flavors from the tobacco without combusting it, thereby potentially eliminating a whole host of harmful toxicants that are created through the combustion process. And so PODA did not invent the heat not burn market. A little company called Philip Morris launched a product called IQOS, which stands for I Quit Ordinary Smoking. They launched in 2016 into the Japanese market. Their growth trajectory since that point has been really incredible. They went from having zero sales, 0% of market share, to having over almost 25% of the traditional cigarette market in Japan has now converted to using heated tobacco products. And that's in about a 5-year time period, 25% of the market in 5 years. I mean, this is really a remarkable shift by a truly massive company moving at an incredible pace. To put some numbers on that, they sold over 85 billion of their heated tobacco sticks in 2020, and they project those numbers to continue growing year after year. They have stated that in the next 5 years, they want to have 50% of their net revenues derived from heated tobacco products. And within the next 10 years, they want to move away entirely from their traditional combustible cigarettes. And so I would definitely encourage your followers and anyone viewing this video to check out Philip Morris. They have dove full head on into the heat not burn space. They, like us, believe it is the future of smoking. And I think, they've spent a huge amount of money and have done a ton of scientific studies. There's a whole host of information available on the Philip Morris site about heat not burn. And I would really encourage your investors to look into that to learn more about the heat not burn space, especially from one of the largest tobacco companies in the world. PODA has developed what we believe is the best heat not burn product. And the reason I say that is we have solved the major pain point associated with other heat not burn products, and that is regular and onerous cleaning requirements. So with the IQOS product, essentially you have a heating device and then these little heat cigarettes. When one of these cigarettes is inserted into the device, you push a button, the device heats up. That heat is heated to precise temperatures, which releases the nicotine and other flavors from the tobacco. You inhale the smoke much like a traditional cigarette. When you're finished with the cigarette gets removed from the device. Now, the problem with the IQOS and any other heat not burn platform is that the end of the cigarette is open. And what that allows is all of the contamination that comes out of the cigarette starts to build up inside the heating device. That results in a strong odor from the heating device, as well as a reduced flavor from the cigarette. The flavor becomes impaired with the residue of each previous cigarette. And most importantly, the heating element itself begins to get contaminated with residues, which reduces the thermal transfer into the tobacco, making the vapor production dramatically reduced and the experience severely worsened over time. So IQOS themselves say you should clean your IQOS device after every 20 cigarettes. if you think about a consumer smoking between 10 and 30 cigarettes a day on average, that's a huge amount of cleaning requirements. I mean, that's at least once every day or every other day, having to spend 5 to 10 minutes to clean out your device. You can never get it fully clean. And so that's something that, from our market research, we've found is really an existing pain point for heat not burn users. And it's something that the PODA system entirely alleviates. So what we created is what is the world's first close-ended cigarette. And what that means is that when a cigarette is inserted into our heating device, there's absolutely no contamination of the heating device itself. So when the cigarette is removed after use, all of the residue, anything created in the heating process, is contained within our biodegradable cigarette. So when the cigarette is disposed of, there's no mess left. There's no cleaning requirements. Each experience is a fresh experience, time in, time out. If you're smoking 30 cigarettes a day, every one of those is the same without having any cleaning requirement. And this is something that we feel is going to give us a huge competitive advantage as we enter into the global heated tobacco market. To put some numbers on it, there are almost 10 trillion cigarettes smoked per year globally. And that's an incredibly staggeringly large number. We anticipate that we can capture a percentage of that market with our superior technology and our superior platform. And the reason for that is that heat not burn offers an incredibly similar experience to traditional smoking, as opposed to using a device like an e-cigarette, which many customers would be familiar with. Electronic cigarettes are a very innovative and cool product. They have some things that they do very well, but they don't mimic the experience of smoking. And what that means is if you give a traditional cigarette smoker an electronic cigarette, they'll try it and they'll say, okay, I guess that's interesting, but this isn't smoking. This isn't mimicking my experience. And so to switch from being a traditional smoker to being an electronic cigarette user really requires a smoker to quit smoking and start using an electronic cigarette. And that serves as a pretty high barrier to switching. If you look at the global adoption statistics for e-cigarette use, only 30% of e-cigarette users are people who switched from smoking to using electronic cigarettes. The other 70% are people who had either never smoked or who had previously quit smoking before using electronic cigarettes. Now, that's where Heat Not Burn offers such an exciting product, and it's why Philip Morris has gone so head on into the product, because Heat Not Burn offers an experience that's very analogous to traditional smoking. So when a traditional smoker would try a Heat Not Burn device, they would say, this is very similar to my experience. I could switch to this in one day. I don't have to quit smoking to keep my habit going with a potentially dramatically reduced risk system. Now, I would say my personal belief is that the best choice for any smoker is to quit smoking entirely. But if they're unable to quit, then the next best choice is to use a reduced risk way of consuming their nicotine. And that's where I think the PODA product offers an extremely exciting opportunity for adult smokers to potentially dramatically reduce the risks associated with the habit that they are unable to quit or that they want to continue. And so I think we've got a really exciting opportunity to capture some major global market share in a truly massive market.
Very interesting. So what are some of the most unique features of PODA products?
Yeah, so I touched on one already, and that's our close-ended system. That really allows a whole host of things, which I will get into later. Additionally, our system is a truly biodegradable pod system. So I've just got a glass of water here. I'll put this pod into the water. And by the end of the interview, you'll see this thing is already starting to break down. It's really amazing how our pods can just go back into nature. We spent a huge amount of time working with in the laboratory to develop our own proprietary blend of plant cellulose, which is able to withstand the heated temperatures required for heat not burn systems. And so we have patented that proprietary blend of cellulose, as well as the methods for manufacturing our pods from the cellulose. And so we have a robust patent portfolio covering both the close-ended system and the method for manufacturing the close-ended pods and the materials that the close-ended pods are made from. So that allows us to create something that's truly unique in the world We've filed our patents now in over 65 jurisdictions around the world. Our patent has been fully granted in the Canadian market, and we anticipate grantings in other markets over the coming months, with all filings anticipated to be granted by 2023. So obviously we'll be updating our shareholders and investors as those milestones are met.
Awesome. Sounds great. So PODA spent 6 years focused on research and development. How did this 6-year process shape the final design of the PODA device and pods?
Yeah, great question. So I guess I have about 15 years of experience designing, patenting, and developing products in the tobacco space. So out of that experience, I was exposed to all of the early stage development of vaporizers and electronic cigarettes. I was very interested in those products. I've used many different ones and have torn them apart and really understood how they work. And out of that, I realized that all of the existing products share the same problem. And that is that the device contamination continually builds up until either the device stops working or the performance is dramatically impaired. And so basically my vision was to create a product which was much more analogous to traditional smoking, where with a traditional cigarette, you would pull a fresh cigarette out of the pack, smoke it, dispose of the cigarette butt, and then the next experience was a fresh cigarette. Each time it was the same experience. With all other electronic cigarettes or heated tobacco products, that isn't the case. And so we spent 6 years developing what I believe is the best heat not burn product ever made. We came at it without having the mindset of big tobacco, where they were trying to adapt a traditional cigarette to work in a heated tobacco system. As opposed to that, we said, how do we develop the best platform, period? And from that came the close-ended system. And then additionally, we really wanted to develop something which wasn't going to put more trash into the environment. So we spent a huge amount of effort to develop our proprietary cellulose blend of biodegradable materials to use for our capsules, so that when our capsules are disposed of, they go back into the environment in a responsible and sustainable way. So we spent years refining the product. From that, we came up with a whole host of different potential ideas for how to do it. We then iterated within those. My partner, Ryan Karkaran, and myself, who founded the company 6 years ago, we have spent over 50,000 hours each in the laboratory developing this product. We've been through numerous iterations and continually honing it down to what we believe is the simplest and best possible footprint. I like to call it engineered simplicity. The outside is basically, from a consumer perspective, it's just a close-ended cigarette. Inside, there's some very complicated engineering and things going on to enable it to work. And we were able to create a system which we can produce at an extremely low cost point, which allows us to compete on a global scale with any of our larger peer competitors.
Very, very interesting. So how difficult was it to develop these products without non-biodegradable materials?
Yeah, so using the biodegradable materials was a huge challenge. It was something that we spent a lot of time and effort on, but I think the rewards are really tenfold. We created a fantastic product, which we have a proprietary right to produce, and it's something that we can use to create, I think, a really exciting product in the global tobacco space and be a sustainable steward as we continue to move forward. Our major goal is to return as much value as possible to our shareholders, and we believe through our sustainable footprint and product, we are well poised to do that.
So what are the advantages of the PODA Pod's closed-end design?
Yeah, so the closed-ended design of the PODA Pod enables a number of major advantages. One that I just touched on, which is the zero contamination of the heating device. Another one is that it gives us an incredibly large variety of substances which can be used inside the PODA cigarette. So what that means is that we can have tobacco products, non-tobacco products, CBD products, and a whole host of other vaporizable materials can be loaded into the pod and then used in the same device footprint. So we've actually developed what we call our Beyond Burn blend, which is a non-tobacco blend which contains synthetic nicotine. We think this is a real game changer in the tobacco market because it allows us to have a product which perfectly mimics the tobacco experience without containing any actual tobacco ingredients. And that allows us to largely sidestep all of the existing tobacco duties and regulations, which are all levied on tobacco products. And so by avoiding that, we believe we can sell a superior product at a superior price point. And I think that's always a winning combination in any marketplace.
Definitely. So what drove the decision to use synthetic nicotine rather than tobacco?
Yeah, so many people may not be aware, but nicotine is actually found in a number of different plants. Tomatoes have a small amount of nicotine, for example. So all of the regulations around tobacco are focused on tobacco and tobacco-derived products like tobacco-derived nicotine. So it's also possible to create nicotine from a synthetic process, which basically your body thinks is the same nicotine, but the nicotine is derived from an entirely non-tobacco source. And so by using our synthetic nicotine in our Beyond Burn blend, one, we can very closely control the amount of nicotine in each pod so that we can deliver an extremely consistent and enjoyable experience to adult smokers. Additionally, it allows us, as I mentioned, to largely avoid the tobacco duties and taxes which are placed on tobacco products. That allows us to sell our product at lower price points than competing tobacco products could be sold.
Wonderful. So PODA's leadership team has extensive experience in developing smoking products, including numerous patents under your belt. How has that experience informed the company's direction?
Yeah, so I have been developing products in the smoking space for the last 15 years. I've had some great successes in the past, and out of that is where PODA was born. Because of my experience in the past, I really took a very strong focus on IP protection for PODA as we move forward. As I mentioned, we've filed our patents in over 65 countries around the world. Those are targeting all of the major heat not burn markets that we anticipate launching our products into. And so our experience in the smoking space has both guided the development of the product to make something that is extremely satisfactory to a consumer, as well as from a business side, we have covered our bases on our IP and production facilities in order to make sure that we have a product that we can grow on a truly global level.
Awesome, Ryan. Now, what's the best way for investors to find out more information about the company, or where should they go?
Yeah, so I would encourage everybody to visit our website at PODALifestyle.com. On there, you can find our corporate presentation. You can subscribe to our mailing list to stay up to date with news, and you can find a whole host of other information about our company and our products. Additionally, we are now listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange, the CSE, under the ticker PODA. We are also trading on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange under the ticker 99L. And we anticipate being listed on the OTCQB in the US within the coming weeks. So as that becomes available, we'll be updating our shareholders as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Ryan. I look forward to covering your story, and best of luck with everything.
Sure. Thanks. Yeah. Just to show you, this pod is already starting to break down. In another bit, this pod is just going to disappear. I think that's something that's a really exciting level for us. I do just want to touch on one thing is the biodegradability of the pods is fantastic on the pods. The filter component, we have a number of different available options. One of our filter components is made of a cellulose acetate material, which is non-biodegradable. It's the same filter that's used in all other heat not burn and most traditional cigarette products. We are in the process of developing a fully biodegradable filter, at which point our product would become an entirely biodegradable product. In the short term, we will have options for full biodegradability without the cellulose acetate filter, or options with the cellulose acetate filter, which wouldn't be entirely biodegradable, but would offer consumers the choice of a product that speaks to them the most. So I think this is an exciting time for us. And as we continue to move forward, I would encourage your viewers to stay tuned for our updates. And as we continue to hit our milestones, we'll be providing that information out to our valued shareholders and investors.
Sounds great, and I'd love to cover it.
All right. Yeah. Happy to come back anytime.
All right. Thanks, Ryan, and have a good day.
You too.
All right, guys, that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. I just wanted to say, if you do support me, the channel, and all these videos, then kindly smash that like button along with hitting the subscribe button and the bell for notifications for future videos. I did also want to say, check the disclaimer down below. This video was sponsored by the company that we are talking about today. So check the disclaimer, full disclosure, and we're out of here. Always remember, guys, Departures Capital is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only. Don't buy or sell a stock because you heard it on here. Buy or sell a stock because you've done your research, you've done your thorough due diligence, and you make your own personal investment decisions for yourself. This video is not financial advice. We'll see you guys in our next video.